Have you ever felt like there's, more to your mind than you're actually using? Like, what if you could tap into some hidden potential? Maybe alleviate stress, boost your creativity, sharpen your focus, just by, understanding how your mind really works. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a classic, a book that's promised exactly that for decades, really. It's guided, over 1 million people to use their minds more effectively. We're talking about the Silva mind control method. It's a really seminal work by Jose Silva and Philip Mille, a foundational text first published way back on July 1st, 1978 by Pocket Books. And it's been, resonating ever since, transforming lives, sparking insights.
It really has, and that's precisely why this book is, I think, essential for anyone who's looking to truly master their inner world.
Yeah.
It's so much more than just another self-help guide. It's a systematic, really structured approach to mental training, almost like a blueprint for mastering your mind.
Right.
What's truly remarkable is just how long it's lasted, its impact. I mean, published in 78, right?
Yeah, decades ago.
Exactly. But the principles, they still resonate profoundly. They're referenced widely in the whole consciousness expansion industry, you could call it. That whole landscape of practices, meditation, visualization, even like the roots of what we now call manifestation, it's all in there. Its core promise is pretty powerful too. It basically offers you a shortcut, sort of, to being well-informed about unlocking your mind's capabilities. It presents some surprising facts, but also really practical techniques that are still incredibly relevant today. It equips you. It gives you tools to harness your mental power in ways you probably hadn't thought possible.
Okay, as we start to unpack more of Silva's really remarkable insights, just a quick word. If this deep dive is sparking your curiosity, if you're finding value here, please take just a second to hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It genuinely helps us keep bringing you these kinds of comprehensive explorations. You can find the Deep Seek Diaries across all the major social media platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You know the drill. And as always, every single resource we mention, the book itself, related materials, everything, it's all linked for you right there in the description. Oh, and please do take a moment to review our terms and conditions there too when you get a chance. Right, now let's get back to unlocking what makes the Silva method tick.
Okay, so let's really unpack what makes the Silva mind control method so significant, why it's, stood the test of time. At its core, the book outlines this renowned 48-hour program. Now, this isn't just abstract theory, stuff that leaves you wondering what to do next.
Yeah.
No, it's a highly structured system, almost like a curriculum, meticulously designed to bring about actual tangible changes in your mental capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like a weekend intensive for your brain, but broken down into accessible lessons. The central idea, the real pillar of Silva's work, is this concept of using your mind at, and I quote, a deeper and more effective level, even in their sleep.
Even in sleep.
Yeah. It means consciously accessing altered states of consciousness. But not just for relaxation, or zoning out. It's for practical, real-world benefits in your everyday life. That's the key difference. And the book systematically breaks down the outcomes you can expect if you stick with the program. Primarily, it focuses on alleviating stress, which, let's face it, is a huge challenge for so many of us today.
Absolutely.
But it goes beyond just stress reduction. It promises to significantly increase your creativity, helping you generate new ideas, find solutions more easily, more originally. And Silva's take on creativity isn't just like wishful thinking. It's rooted in the idea that the alpha state, that relaxed yet alert mental frequency, naturally opens up the subconscious. Okay. So by consciously guiding your thoughts in that state, you essentially bypass the critical, analytical filters of your normal waking mind, the beta state. And that allows for, a flow of intuitive insights, novel connections that might otherwise just stay hidden. It's like tuning your radio to a different station for inspiration, unlocking this wellspring of innovative thought. And then, of course, a critical outcome is developing what Silva called concentration, but it's really more like laser-like focus.
Right.
Allowing you to maintain attention much more effectively, cut through the noise, the distractions.
Yeah.
Now, what's truly groundbreaking, and this is where Jose Silva really made a monumental leap in mind science, was back in the 1960s. He wasn't just talking abstract concepts. He was the first scientist, really, to develop a systematic method that allowed anyone conscious awareness and practical use of the powerful alpha brainwave level.
That's incredible. Before that, it was just something seen on an EEG.
Pretty much, yeah. Its existence was known. But there wasn't a practical, widely accessible way for people to consciously get into alpha and use it for specific goals.
Yeah.
Silva's method showed how integrating body-mind functioning at this specific brainwave frequency could unlock incredible potential. It basically laid the groundwork for so much of the modern self-improvement and mind-body connection movements we see today. Think about that state, just before you fall asleep or right when you wake up.
That floaty feeling.
Exactly. Where your mind is relaxed but still aware. That's often when you get your best ideas, right? Feel most intuitive. That's the alpha state. Silva wasn't just saying relax. He taught how to function, how to problem solve from within that deeper, more powerful mental frequency. But Silva, he didn't just stop there. His journey, his work, it kept evolving. He was always pushing boundaries, seeking deeper levels of understanding, deeper applications. So in 1998, he introduced his later, more advanced work, the Ultramind ESP system.
Ultramind ESP, okay.
Yeah, this expanded the scope even further. It moved beyond what many might think of as typical mind control into what he believed was a higher dimension of mental operation. The Ultramind ESP system introduces this scientifically researched technique called mental video.
Mental video, like a movie in your head.
Kind of, but more deliberate. It's designed to empower you to purposefully use the delta brainwave level.
Delta, isn't that deep sleep?
Typically, yes. Alpha is that bridge to the subconscious relaxed awareness. Delta is usually associated with very deep unconscious sleep, where the body regenerates. Silva's revolutionary claim was that by consciously accessing delta, which sounds almost impossible, right? You could tap into an even deeper source of intuition, connect directly with what he called higher intelligence.
Higher intelligence, what did he mean by that?
He described it as a sort of universal, non-physical source of information and guidance. Something beyond our individual minds. Like a direct line to universal wisdom, almost like a cosmic internet for insights. And within this system, mental video goes beyond simple visualization. It's about creating this vivid, multisensory mental movie of what you want, or the solution to a problem. But crucially, you do it while you're aiming for those deep alpha or even delta states. It's active, deliberate mental rehearsal, designed to imprint your intentions really deeply into your subconscious, and according to Silva, transmit them to this higher intelligence for help, and then receives intuitive guidance back.
Wow.
Yeah, the ultimate purpose, as Silva saw it, was using psychic ability, which he believed we all have, just maybe undeveloped, to communicate with this higher intelligence for guidance. Guidance on what to do, and maybe even more importantly, how to do it successfully. So it really shifts the whole thing from just internal self-improvement to something more expansive, maybe even collaborative, with a universal intelligence, moving beyond personal development into, what some might call spiritual growth.
It's just fascinating how a book from, 1978 can still feel so relevant, even groundbreaking, especially with all the talk today about manifestation, intuition, that kind of thing. So when you actually pick up the Silva mind control method, you'll notice how it's structured. The book itself explains the program in quite a bit of detail. It lays out the principles, the exercises, and then it presents numerous case histories from graduates.
Right, those case studies.
Yeah, and they're not just filler. They're meant to show the real-world impact, right?
Yeah.
How different people applied these techniques to solve problems, achieve goals, change their lives. Now, here's something really interesting that popped up in reviews, something you might want to try if you read it. They call it a special way to read it.
Oh yeah, what's the approach?
Well, the suggestion is, first, just read the whole book, cover to cover. Don't practice anything yet. Just absorb it, get the feel for the concepts, the philosophy.
Oh, you get the big picture first.
Okay, exactly. Then they advise rereading chapters 3 to 14 specifically. This second pass is meant to give you a clearer overall picture of the whole journey, solidifying the theory before you start applying it, like getting the script before rehearsal.
Makes sense.
And only then, after those 2 reads, do you go back to chapter 3 and actually start doing the exercises. It's a structured approach to reading, aiming to optimize your learning and application. Make sure you have the full context before you dive into the active work. It really shows how methodical Silva's teaching was, understanding before action. But it's worth mentioning a common critique that came up. Something I can kind of see, actually. Some readers found that about maybe 40% of the book is dedicated to these case studies.
Yeah, that's quite a chunk.
It is. And while they're valuable for showing impact and providing social proof, some reviewers just found them less engaging. Some even skipped them altogether, wanting to get straight to the how-to.
I can understand that. Depends on your learning style.
Totally. It's like a textbook with lots of testimonials. So if you prefer direct, actionable content over anecdotes, you might find yourself skimming those parts a bit. But the core content, the actual methods and exercises, that's where the real gold is. according to most people.
Absolutely. And diving into those strengths, what really stands out, what people consistently praise, is how intensely practical and actionable it is.
Yeah.
This isn't just theory that leaves you scratching your head. It gives you clear, step-by-step exercises, concrete things to follow from day one. You're not just reading about mind control, you're actively doing it.
That's key.
And what's amazing, especially for such deep, sometimes esoteric stuff, is the clarity.
Yeah.
The readability. Customers consistently say it's easy to read and understand. You don't need a PhD in psychology or anything.
Right.
You don't need to be deep into spiritual concepts either to grasp the core ideas. That accessibility is a massive strength. It opens it up to anyone just curious about their own mind. And then there's the transformative potential that's highlighted frequently. Reviewers talk about its ability to fundamentally change the way you think about yourself and the world around you. That's powerful.
It really is.
It's not just about managing symptoms. It offers excellent methods to change your way of thinking and approach to life. That points to a really deep foundational impact, guiding you to a more empowered, solution-focused mindset. And maybe the most compelling feedback, the ultimate validation, its effectiveness. Time and again, people say its methodology is super effective and works like a charm.
Wow.
Yeah, this isn't just theory. These are real people reporting tangible results. Applying the Silva method to everything from, finding lost keys to improving health or career stuff. The consistency of those positive comments really underlines the value and lasting impact. It's like getting a usable, effective blueprint for mental mastery that so many people have found genuinely life-altering.
Okay, so while the praise is, overwhelming and it's clearly changed lives, we should also touch on some of the weaknesses or criticisms, just for balance. I mean, it was published in 1978, so understandably, some elements might feel a bit dated to a modern reader.
Sure, things change. Language examples.
Exactly. As one reviewer put it, some parts might even make you laugh. Not because the core ideas are bad, but just because the context feels, a little old-fashioned. Maybe some case studies or the language used to describe certain phenomena might sound quaint compared to today's neuroscience or pop psychology.
That's fair. It's a product of its time in some ways.
Right. The core principles hold up, but some of the wrapping might seem a little vintage. Another specific thing that came up in the Amazon reviews, a practical point, was about the poor text quality in some editions.
Oh, like the actual printing.
Yeah, issues like blurry print, maybe small fonts, thin paper, stuff that just makes the physical act of reading harder, less enjoyable.
Right, that can definitely be annoying. It doesn't affect the content, but it impacts the experience.
Exactly. And as we mentioned before, that heavy reliance on case studies may be 40% of the book. While powerful for some, others really just wanted more direct instruction, less storytelling. So if that's you, just be aware you might skim those bits. It's a trade-off between illustration and instruction.
So, thinking about all that, who really benefits most from digging into the Silva mind control method?
Yeah.
Well, if you're someone actively looking for genuine self-improvement, especially around stress, creativity, concentration, focus, this book is, I'd say, definitely for you. It gives concrete, actionable steps.
Okay.
It's also fantastic for mindfulness and meditation folks, especially if you maybe struggle to meditate properly or you want a really super effective method to bring visualization into your practice. Silva provides a clear path into those deeper states. And for problem solvers, this book offers some seriously powerful tools. Tools to address, as one reviewer nicely put it, life's quirks from depression, lost your way, work pressure.
Yep.
It gives you a systematic framework for tackling challenges from a more empowered, more intuitive place. Finding solutions you might miss in your normal everyday thinking. And if you're just, a curious learner, someone who loves those aha moments, who wants to understand where a lot of modern self-help ideas actually came from.
Yeah, tracing the roots.
Exactly. This book is a goldmine for that. It's widely seen as foundational for concepts like intentional manifestation, positive programming, even bits of the law of attraction stuff. You see Silva's fingerprints everywhere. It shows you where many current ideas got their systematic start. Now, who might it not be for? Well, if you really dislike historical case studies, find them a drag.
Right.
Or if you prefer a purely modern, maybe jargon-free approach, and you're not keen on the spiritual or higher intelligence aspects, then parts of it might not click as strongly. Silva's work, while practical, definitely goes beyond the purely material. That won't suit everyone's worldview. But honestly, for the vast majority seeking practical mental enhancement and a deeper connection to their inner power, it offers huge, undeniable value.
That distinction's really helpful, actually. Setting expectations. It's not just another self-help book. It's systematic training. So let's talk practical application. because this is where the Silva mind control method really delivers, right? Moving beyond theory into actual results. It gives you specific, actionable techniques you can start using straight away. One of the core exercises, the one for getting into the alpha state consciously, it involves counting back slowly, 100 to 1, while gazing your eyes slightly upward, about 20 degrees from rest.
Yeah, an upward gaze is key, apparently. Helps stimulate alpha waves.
Yeah, and you practice this for about 10 days, typically. As your brain gets better at hitting and holding alpha, you gradually reduce the count. 50 to 1, then 20 to 1, eventually just 5 to 1. The book even warns you might fall back asleep when you first try it in the morning.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
But the whole point is to consciously, reliably enter that powerful alpha state, which, as you said, was Silva's big contribution, building that mental muscle through practice. And beyond just getting into alpha, the book guides you into what he calls dynamic meditation.
Dynamic meditation?
Yeah.
So, more active.
Exactly. It's more active, more purpose-driven than just passively clearing your mind. While lots of meditation aims to empty the mind, Silva's dynamic meditation uses that clear, receptive state for problem solving, for goal setting, and then you have the visualization techniques. Hugely powerful, central to the method. You're taught how to visualize what you want for intentional manifestation, a term you hear everywhere now, but Silva was laying out the how-to decades ago.
Right. He broke it down into a process.
Totally. It's not just vague positive thinking or daydreaming. It's about actively, systematically creating this vivid, multisensory mental movie of your desired outcome or the solution while you're in those deep mental states. Silva called it programming your mind. You see that word a lot. Leveraging these deep states, less passive dreaming, more active mental rehearsal, creating a felt reality in your mind, which he believed then influences the outer world, maybe through that higher intelligence connection. And he gives everyday examples too, not just big life goals, like visualizing where you lost your keys to help you find them.
Okay, practical stuff.
Yeah, or mentally rehearsing a tricky conversation to help it go better. It's about programming your mind for specific outcomes, training it to be your ally. It's also worth remembering the book itself is like a condensed version, a potent distillation of a much longer, more intensive 40-plus hour course Silva taught live.
Wow, 40 hours. So the book packs a lot in.
It really does. It's incredibly deep, yet comprehensive for a book. If you've meditated before or read other self-improvement stuff, you'll likely find Silva's exercises easy to follow. It feels like getting back to the source of many ideas other teachers built on later. It's the foundational toolkit, laid out remarkably clearly.
And the enduring brilliance of this method, you really can't separate it from the incredible, honestly inspiring story of Jose Silva himself.
Is it?
His background is so unique, it just defies all the usual expectations of expertise. Orphaned at 4 years old, no formal schooling as a student. This wasn't a guy learning theories in university halls.
Amazing.
Yet, despite that huge challenge, he was self-taught. A genius, really. Built a very successful electronics repair business, ran it for 40 years. And it was through his own rigorous self-education, driven initially by wanting to help his own kids improve their grades, that he started experimenting. Psychic abilities, telepathy, brainwaves, way back in the 1940s. He looked into hypnosis first, but then moved beyond it. He wanted methods that empowered people to be conscious and in control, not just suggestible. So decades of dedicated personal research, experimentation, often self-funded, done at his own home. That's what led to the Silva mind control method and all his other courses. His pioneering spirit really established him as the first scientist to develop a method that allows everybody to use the powerful alpha brainwave level with conscious awareness.
That integration of body-mind functioning.
Exactly. It was a monumental leap.
Yeah.
It fundamentally changed how we understand human potential, consciousness. It paved the way for things like biofeedback, neurofeedback later on. His impact, his legacy, it's immense. He wrote over a dozen books published in 2 dozen languages.
Yeah.
That's incredibly prolific for someone with no formal education.
Truly remarkable.
And even though he passed away in 1999, his work is still taught globally. Live seminars, home study courses, and of course through this foundational book. It just proves his timeless relevance. And we should also definitely acknowledge Philip Miel, the co-author. He was crucial in helping translate Silva's deep insights and vast experience into a text that was accessible and impactful for millions. Their collaboration brought this to the world.
I really hope you're enjoying the topic so far and that we're giving you a truly comprehensive picture of this really influential work. As we continue, please do subscribe to the Deep Seek Diaries and like this video if you haven't yet. Don't forget, you can find us on all the usual spots: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And just a reminder, all the resources, the book itself, everything we're discussing, it's all linked for you in the description section right below. Okay, let's switch gears slightly and look at what the wider audience, specifically on Amazon, thinks about the Silva mind control method. This gives us some great social proof, right? Insights into the collective reader experience. Overall, the feeling is overwhelmingly positive. The book holds a very strong 4.5 out of 5 stars.
That's really high.
It is, and that's from a lot of reviews, 9,737 global ratings when we checked. That shows huge readership, massive engagement. The book's reach and popularity are undeniable, and when you break down the stars, the positivity is even clearer. It's quite compelling, actually. A huge 77% of reviewers gave it a perfect 5 stars. That's an incredibly strong endorsement.
Wow, over 3/4?
Yeah. Another 9% gave it 4 stars, and 9% gave it 3 stars. So generally satisfied. Only tiny fractions, 3% and 2%, gave it 2 or 1 stars. So outright dissatisfaction seems pretty rare.
So the vast majority found real value.
Absolutely. It clearly shows that most readers found significant value, positive impact. It's not just a few fans, it's a consistent, widespread trend across a really large readership. That kind of consistent high praise really makes a book stand out.
And what's really interesting when you dig into those reviews are the themes that keep coming up. The common praises, they paint a very clear picture of what hits home for readers. Readability, that's mentioned by 65 customers, and 57 of those comments were positive. People consistently call it fantastic, easy to read and understand, a real eye-opener.
That accessibility again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One reviewer even mentioned that special way to read it we talked about, saying how that structured approach really helped their comprehension. It shows the book simplifies complex ideas without dumbing them down. Then there's this huge theme of mindset transformation. 28 customers mentioned it, all positively. They praised its excellent methods to change your way of thinking and approach to life, talked about how it helped them meditate properly, approach challenges with more empowerment.
So a real paradigm shift for people.
Yeah, it really points to that profound shift in perspective, moving from reactive to proactive mentally. Ease of learning also comes up a lot. 12 customers mentioned it positively. Phrases like simple and easy read, easy to follow exercises, just reinforce how accessible it is. Even though it's teaching potentially complex techniques, it empowers you to just do it. And finally, the big one for a practical book, effectiveness. 7 customers specifically mentioned effectiveness, and every single one was positive.
Every single one.
Yep. They use strong language, super effective method. It works like a charm. Directly talking about the tangible results they got in their own lives. This alignment between what the book promises and what users experience, that practical real-world impact, Silva focused on its powerful proof of its continued relevance and value. It's not just theory, it works in practice for many.
Right, but despite all that positive feedback, it's always good to look at the other side, acknowledge the criticisms, even if they're fewer. A small percentage, as we noted, did find it boring, repetitive, and with little to learn. That provides a contrast, reminds us not every book clicks with everyone.
True. What's profound for one can be redundant for another.
And that point about it being mostly a review of case studies came up again in a 3-star review. It just reinforces that the narrative structure isn't for everybody. Some people just want more how-to, less story. And then there was that practical complaint about poor text quality in some editions.
Right, the printing issues.
Yeah. Doesn't diminish the content, but a bad printing can definitely impact the reading experience, make it harder to engage. That's a legitimate point. So while these criticisms are relatively minor compared to the huge volume of praise and the high rating, they offer that balanced perspective. Worth considering if you're thinking about picking it up. We want to give you the full picture, help you decide if this deep seek is right for you.
And that's really the beauty of doing this deep dive, isn't it? Giving that balanced view, drawing from our analysis and the wisdom of thousands of readers. What's fascinating is how strongly the general feeling from those Amazon reviews aligns with the strengths we identified. That consistent praise for effectiveness, practical application, clarity, it's all echoed powerfully in the customer feedback.
Yeah, the validation is strong.
It really is. The fact that so many people independently found it super effective and easy to read truly validates its core offerings, Silva's whole approach. And similarly, the minor criticisms we noted, the dated feel sometimes, the text quality issues, they're also reflected in a small number of reviews. It just adds to the balance, shows our analysis lines up pretty closely with the broad reader experience. Ultimately, that remarkably high rating, the sheer volume of positive feedback, it just underlines its continued relevance, its immense value, even decades later. It's clear that for so many people, the Silva mind control method really delivers on its promise of unlocking the mind's capabilities. It's proven itself as a truly enduring transformative resource.
Well, I hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Deep Seek Diaries, and I hope our deep dive into the Silva mind control method has perhaps illuminated some powerful possibilities for you. Please don't forget to check out the linked resources in the description section. You can find the book there, other related materials, to continue your own journey if you feel inspired. And please hit the subscribe and like buttons as you head off if you haven't already. Until the next deep dive, goodbye.
And maybe just consider this as you go. If a man with no formal schooling, an orphan who built his own business, could unlock such profound secrets of the mind, of human potential, just through dedication and intuitive experimentation decades ago, well, what hidden capabilities might you still be underestimating within yourself today? The journey of self-discovery, much like the path Silva laid out, it's an ongoing process, isn't it? Practice, belief, and continually seeking to understand the incredible power that lies within each of us.
It really is a journey worth taking. We genuinely encourage you to explore the Silva mind control method further through those links and just to continue your own deep seek journey into the vast potential of your mind. Investing time in understanding and harnessing your own mental power, it really is one of the most valuable things you can do, leading to more creativity, less stress, and just a sharper, more focused way of navigating life.